Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you all were fine. Let us start the class with the subject social of class 6, history part. The name of the lesson is contact with distant lands. Let's go through the introduction part. After the downfall of Magadha kingdom, there grew up many new kingdoms in central India, Deccan and Kalinga. Let's discuss about them. Now we'll read about Kingdom of Central India. Now we shall discuss about the Sunga. The powerful Mauryan Empire was reduced to a small kingdom due to successive invasion by nomadic tribes of Central Asia. At that time, Pushyamitya Shunga, the general of last Mauryan king, he had killed the Mauryan king Brihadatta in 185 BC and established Sunga dynasty. He consolidated his position by performing two Ashwamedha Yojana, one on the bank of river Sindhu and the other is in Pataliputra. The dynasty lasted for 1 century and overthrown by the Brahmin minister Vasudeva, who founded the Kanva dynasty. Next, we will move on to Satavahanas. The Satavahana rule in the Deccan in central India. They are referred to in the Puranas as Andhras or Satavahanas or the Lord of Dakshinapatha. The dynasty was founded by Simukha. The Satavahana rose in power in 1st century BC in Andhra region. Their capital was at Pratisthana, Maharashtra, and second capital was at Amravati. The most powerful king of this dynasty was Gautami Putra Satakarni. His kingdom extended from Malwa in the north to the Karnataka in the south. Women had high status in society. The dynasty collapsed in 3rd century BC. Now we shall learn about the Central Asian invasion. At first, we'll discuss about the Bactrian or the Indo-Greek. Bactrian or the Indo-Greek. After the death of Alexander, the Bactrian Greeks became independent. The recapture of Gandhara. The recapture Gandhara in 190 BC. Then they occupy Punjab and extend their control up to Mathura. Menander was famous Indo-Greek king. He had his capital at Sakala. He was converted to Buddhism. He had ruled between 155 BC and 130 BC. Secondly, we'll discuss about Sakas. The Saka dynasty destroyed the Greek power and took a large part of India from Greek. The Saka empire spread over Afghanistan, Punjab, Deccan, Mathura, and the part of Western India. Rudraman was a great Saka king. He issued the first ever long inscription in Chasti Sanskrit. Thirdly, we'll discuss about Parthians. The Parthians were of Iranian origin. They had a strong cultural connection with Saka. Gondophares was great ruler. Lastly, we'll discuss about Kushanas. The Kushanas or the UC were the most popular foreign invaders who established their empire in India in 1st century BC. Their rule spread from Central Asia to North India. Kanishka was greatest Kushan ruler. He ruled from 78 BC till 100 BC. His rule extends as far as East Varanasi and in the south Sanchi. He organized the fourth Buddhist council in Kashmir. Buddhist scholars like Bashumitra, Charaka, and Nagarjuna took part in the council. In this council, Buddhism got split into two schools, Hinayana and Mahayana. Kanishka also patronized art. He brought artisans trained in different schools and countries and developed a new style of sculpture. Ashwaghosha converted Kanishka to Buddhism. Now let's learn about the impact of foreign invasion on India. Now I have spoken about the Greek, Shaka, Persians, and Kushanas. They were all foreigners. Their invasion had far-reaching impact on Indian culture, tradition, society, etc. They have brought with them their own culture and tradition. This resulted in the rise of composite culture. Central Asian contact brought a fresh wave in the art of sculpture. The Kushanas patronized the Gandhara school of art. Gandhara school was a style of sculpture which was Buddhist in theme, but Greco-Roman in style. It was also brought to India a new method of making coins. Greek-style coins contain legends and the birth of the ruler. They used Brahmi script. Next, we move on to South India during Sangam age. The term Sangam means an assembly or a meeting of Tamil poets. There are three Sangam are convened one after the other. Three Sangams took place at different places under the patronage of Pandeyas King of Madurai. Poets and scholars gathered at Madurai and composed poems on two broader themes of love and war. It is put together in 8 collections called Itothogai. Sangam age refers the period of ancient Tamil-speaking area known as Tamilakam. The three kingdoms flourished in Sangam age were Sera, Chola, and the Pandyas. Let's discuss about it. The Sera. The Sera were known as Kerala-putra. Their capital was Vanji and Nidurjula, and Nidurjulal Adan was the most important king. Now we'll discuss about Chola. The Chola kingdom was known as Cholamandalam. Their capital was Urayur. Karikal was an important king. The kingdom remained in power between 200 BC to 400 BC. Now we'll discuss about Pandyas. The Pandyas ruled over the area of Madurai. They had good trade contact with Roman Empire. Let's discuss about the development of the trade post-Mauryan period. After the decline of Mauryan Empire, many invaders came from Central Asia. The reason of their coming were the growing importance of the merchant after the rise of Buddhism and Jainism, the rise of town and the growing use of money. Trade expanded both externally and internally. Next, we move on to trade route. There were two land routes in ancient India. The first route was known as Uttarapatha, connected northern and eastern part of India, and the second route was known as Dakshinapatha, connected peninsular India with western and northern part of India. Our next topic is Silk Road. Silk Route is an important trade route in ancient times. It connected India with Asia, Europe, and Africa. It extended more than 6,500 kilometers. The route is used to transport Chinese silk to Europe through Central Asia. The Kushanas controlled the Silk Route. This control was a good source of income for Kushanas. Now let's discuss about maritime trade. Maritime trade includes the coastal routes between the seaport in Gujarat and southern India and South Arabia. Important ports were Supara, Kalyana, and Muzaris. Ships from this port sailed to Roman Empire through Red Sea. Now we shall learn about the trade with West and Central Asia. The trade relation with Roman Empire was most important. Initially, the trade was carried out through land, but due to obstruction created by the Persian trade, route was shifted to sea route. Roman import from India, the product like spices, perfume, jewels, and textiles, and export like gold and silver. Next, we will discuss about religious contact with the distant land. Apart from maritime trade, India established religious relationship with Southeast Asia. It led to the spread of Indian culture and religion. The merchants coming from various parts of India spread Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism in the countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, Malaya, and Java. The famous Angkor first temple was built in Cambodia during this period. The famous Angkor Wat temple was built in Cambodia during this period. Emperor Ashoka spread Buddhism to the other places by sending his son and daughter to Sri Lanka. Pataliputra, Mathura, and Taxila became the center of Indian culture. Kanishka sent ambassador to China, Tibet, Korea, and Japan to propagate Buddhism. Chinese pilgrim Fahin Himseng and visited India. Kanishka sent ambassador to China, Tibet, Korea, Japan to propagate Buddhism. Chinese pilgrim Fahin Himseng visited India. Himseng wrote a book called Siu Ki. Lastly, we'll discuss about the rise of Bhaktism. As mentioned in the earlier chapter, Hinduism was acquiring a new shape. At this time, an important feature of Hinduism became the worship of Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti. The term Bhakti means the practice of loving, devotion to God as a means of salvation or moksha. As we know, God is one, but there was a rise of separate sects of devotees of different gods. For example, the devotees of Vishnu were called Vaishnavites, and the devotees of Shiva were called Shaivites. So, dear students, I hope you have understood the chapter, and meet you in the next class. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.